This is world-famous Detective Richard Moore, and you're listening to the Case Closed, One Truth Prevails podcast.
All right. Well, as Richard just let us in here, we're going to introduce our guests of the One Podcast Prevails first.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael.
And I'm Colton.
And we are the hosts of the One Podcast Prevails.
And I am Manic, or you used to know me as Apera, speeding in the Mania. And this is the One Truth Prevails podcast, and we're going to start going in and introducing the rest of our usuals here.
Yeah, so Professor C here, obviously Case Closed podcast, Save Case Closed. Been doing this a little while and really having a good time with it, so good to be here.
Yeah, this is JoeB from JoeB Reactions, or Jimmy. Just really happy to be here.
Hello, Dwall here, and again, very happy to be a part of this, and it's going to be a fun show. I feel like it's going to be a fun show.
And I'm Aaron. I'm just here to fill space.
Fantastic. All right.
That sounds about right.
So it's been a pretty big week for us, or 2 weeks, I should say, for us all. New Case Closed dub, Studio Nano. How do we all feel about it?
Yay?
Long time coming.
Big yay.
Yeah, big yay. That's a very big yay. I think we've deliberately kind of, at least on our show, we've been kind of, well, fortunately, I think the way it worked out for us is that we recorded a podcast. It got announced that there was going to be a new dub, and then by the time we were getting ready to release said recording, we were like, okay, we might as well talk about it. And then, but I think that's episode that was now. So this is going to be us actually talking about it proper. So we've been holding back as far as we feel about it ourselves, but it's very positive to say the least.
So does anybody want to give their thoughts first? Should I, or does anybody else want to have a preference to going first? I don't mind.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk about how I feel about the new dub yet. I would have to say, I think it's pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. I think, admittedly, it was one of those things where, again, this is our fourth or fifth dub cast or whatever. I lost count. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, some voices I'm gonna have to get used to again. Like I think with Ron's voice in particular, I thought at first like, oh, maybe this is a little too high. I'm not sure, but I think again, whatever nitpicks I had about the dub, I think like I don't even want to say slowly. I think quickly went away by the time I got got past the first 2 episodes, and then by the end of this, hopefully first of many batches we're gonna get, I really thought, you know what, like I should say first off, like I'm not one who watches a lot of anime dubbed, and it's not because like I hate dubs or whatever. I want to make that very clear. English dubs just aren't my preference. That's just me personally. This is one of the few dubs where by the end of it, there was never a moment where any of the performances like took me out of the story. I feel like this is the first dub of Conan that we've gotten where I felt like, okay, these are all performances I could imagine coming out of the original actors. I felt like these were all performances I would hear in the original show. So I think that's like the highest compliment I can give it personally, saying that, yeah, it's just like watching the original show. Like at this point, I don't really have a whole lot of criticisms of it. Like I've been really enjoying it, and I really want more.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could definitely totally agree with that, because my stance on it is, and mind you, I had a 6-disc discectomy, so like my brain's been extremely foggy, and a lot of it's like, even though it was months ago, like I'm still like recovering from it, and like I have a lot of like coherent problems in the sense of like absorbing everything. Like when I was watching the dub, I would watch it, and I would have to, at first, I was picking up nothing. And it's not because of the cast, because as you'll soon learn, I love it. And I just had a hard time, and eventually I was able to get to a point. I watched it 11 times, so hopefully help the numbers.
Wow.
I would listen to it, and I started to be like, okay, I have to listen, and I can't digest it. I can't like go back and reflect on how I feel. I have to pay attention to what they're saying now, like in live time, like trying to pick up a real conversation, even though we've seen these episodes a lot of times. And I just really didn't know how I felt about it. I'm like, I think I like it. I'm not sure. And I think I fully digested how I feel about it after watching the show 11 times. I think, like you said, it's feels like what you would hear in the Funimation dub for the most part. I think Vi and I sound identical, to where I wonder if Gosho was like helping pick out cast members this time again, because they sound exactly the same. Maybe she just listened to the thing before she went in. I don't know. But I and Vi sound the same. We have Vermouth back as from original Rachel. And Spectre came back. Vodka sounds exactly the same almost. Jin sounds like a modern take, but like very classic to Jin. So I really like a lot of that. Conan just sounds great. Conan sounds like a little bit of a mixture of Wendy Lee, Aaron, and Allison all mixed together. And that's pretty much like my digesting of it, like of how I feel. Like I feel like it feels very classic. And the way I described it it was either in the last podcast or when I was talking to JoeB last night off air. I don't remember because everything's a blur to me now. I said you had the Bing Zoom dub and the Studio Nano dub, and in their they put out a survey for people who watched the film and pretty much just said, hey, like how do you feel about it? And that was interesting to see that go out. It came down to like, would it bother you if Studio Nano and Bing Zoom, like if they were separate dubs type thing? Like, would it bother you if there was two voice casts doing Conan? Like, would that throw you out of the immersion? Blah blah whatever. And this is how I really felt, and I thought it was a good point. It was really wonderful to see Bing Zoom do these dubs for the movies, and I think they did a good enough job. But to me, I was just like, it felt like I was watching an English version of Detective Conan, and that's not a bad thing. That's what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But the Funimation dub was Case Closed, and they feel like two different shows. If I didn't start off with Case Closed, I don't think I would have became a Conan fan. I fell in love with the characters. I didn't even like mystery crime things. I even told my friend I wasn't going to watch it, and then I did. And I fell in love with the characters, then the case solving, and then this. And a lot of it had the jokes in it that weren't in the original, that really made up for it, like Richard getting a cloak tag saying 69 and going, or 96 and going, almost my favorite number, and stuff like that. And fell in love with those characters. And what I really like about this dub by Studio Nano is, while they're not going full force with these jokes like Funimation would, you can still get that wet, dry humor that they're going for. And I really like that. And I feel like I'm watching Case Closed again. While the Bang Zoom stuff, I feel like I'm just watching an English version of Detective Conan, which is like, sure, that's what you want, I guess. But to me, the Studio Nano, I feel like I'm watching the show that has been gone for decades. Even though we've had this dub, I still feel like I was missing Case Closed, even though we've had this dub going along with it. And so I think that's really how I put it. I feel like we finally got Case Closed back, even though it's called Detective Conan now, which is fine.
Yeah, I'll just say, I think for me, this is... it's very interesting. I just think a lot of us assumed when this was coming that it was going to be the Bang Zoom cast, and there's even some stuff out there about, it was going to be the Bang Zoom cast. So seeing, and I think even with the Macias situation and how that went over, I guess, in TMS's mind, I don't think we'll really ever know, but
I think they washed their hands pretty quick.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, I think they just... I was kind of shocked they went with another studio, and then it's so funny, I've watched Case Closed so many times over. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to my first watch through. I really didn't know that was Mark Stoddard at the beginning. I was sitting there going, man, they must have got somebody that's really got like a deeper voice, and they got that gruffness of the character. I'm like, he really resembles Mark's work from Case Closed, and then sure enough, it was Mark. So that was pretty funny, and that was kind of embarrassing at the same time. But I think it was great that they blended some of the old voice cast, back in, and obviously the new blood. I think, there have been a lot of praise about the dub, and a lot of people feel really excited. And I think it could be the best dub that the series has seen, really. And I think even if you're on the fence in terms of because so much of us, so many of us grew up with Funimation, so there's some nostalgia there. If you're hung up on that, you really can't deny, if you're a fan and you're watching, it's a worthy successor in terms of, in terms of dubs and what's come out and these characters. What I appreciate about the actors, they went online and we're talking about how enthusiastic they were and excited they were to be a part of the project, and so many of them grew up with it. So I think the fact that they grew up with it and they understand it, especially being older and seeing how big it is in Japan and some other places, I think that probably helped influence their approach to the character. Like Nick Huber as Jin, I think is a perfect blend, obviously with old Jin and some of the things that, DC Douglas is doing with the character now in the movies. And I think there's just a really good blend there. Molly Zhang, I mean, she is just amazing. She's done a great job as Conan. And so happy that, she's in the project and you can tell how passionate she is. And, I love watching the work. I love watching the episodes, but I even more, it's a joy to watch the voice actors go online and, show so much reverence for the series and being as excited as they are. And, I would love to see them do the films. I've been pretty public about that. It's not a knock on the Bang Zoom cast. I think they do a great job, but I do think when you're trying to get a series off the ground like this, and not off the ground, but you're trying to take it to another level, and you're asking fans for feedback, and this is really the first big push for Conan. I talked about it on the last podcast about, the series has not had very good releases or concise releases here in the States, even dating back to when it first came out, and they were coming out with episodes all out of order, and it was just a big mess while the run was going on Adult Swim. And then even how they've handled the movies recently and the Masius dub, it's put a couple of tweets out there about it and call it a day. That's not marketing or promoting, and they're really pushing it. And I'll give TMS credit. I think if the show's going to be successful, and reach a new audience, they've got to keep doing that.
I mean, when a movie comes out and it was lucky if it got a tweet, was insane.
Yeah, I think having it evolve into actual press releases has been crazy to see, especially given how long we've also been recording about it. So it is strange to see, like, oh wow, this actually feels real now.
Oh yeah, a lot of people who stopped watching Conan because it wasn't in English anymore. Like, while I do think the Funimation dub I prefer, and maybe nostalgia, sure, but like Gosho had his hands deeper in that one. Like, he came up with all the English names and everything that people hate for some odd reason. But I really, really do think, and I can agree with, even if I like the other one better, it's a good successor. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like better by any means, but it is better in the sense of it sounds more quality because they have way more better equipment, times are better, and they got a lot of voice actors and stuff, and it all sounds really good. Like, if you love the original Case Closed, this is it. Like, if you left because of that, like, it just wasn't in English anymore, this is the best way to capture those people back. And I think that's their core demographic. And it's so good that even the standard people are shouting about it who aren't. Like, I think, like, they're doing what Sega can't do, which is funny because Sega owns, like, the TMS and the Conan stuff, and it's funny. But, like, they're doing the one thing Sonic can't do, is cater to all the fan bases that they have segregated themselves, like 2D, 3D, whatever. They have catered to both. They have a dub that calls back to us, and this sounds more like Case Closed than it ever has compared to the other dubs that we've been getting. And I don't feel like their claws are in it as deep as they were with Bang Zoom. And I feel like all of that, like, culminates into this perfect dub that everyone can enjoy. And I think that's what makes it better than the Funimation one, technically, because there is still a lot of Funimation blood in here. So it's kind of hard to knock one and not be knocking both at the same time.
Oh yeah, so I thought this dub was pretty good, but I've heard a lot of people like say this isn't like something that they really enjoy. I mean, they enjoy it, but they prefer the Funimation. But I think that's because most of them just watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't think that's the best representation of this dub. If you're gonna watch this, if you're gonna watch this dub, the first 2 episodes are definitely gonna trigger that Case Closed original voices. Like when you see Shinichi walking out in the first episode, immediately, like, your mind starts playing the Jerry Jewell voice.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone watches this and are like on the fence of this dub, seeing the first two episodes is not the best representation of the dub. Like you're gonna constantly keep comparing it, and it's not gonna live up to any of our expectations, because nostalgia is a big factor in this. It plays a big factor. So watching those two, the first two episodes would not be ideal. Like episode 3 and 4 is where this dub really shines to me. This cast has been like so good so far. Like I have enjoyed their performances in episodes 3 and 4 more than episode 1 and 2. Maybe because they've grown accustomed to the voices. They've like tweaked it a bit. But episodes 3 and 4 really stand out because at that point we don't have a Funimation reference. These voice actors are doing really well at the point, and it's like a really good story that a lot of people who watch this dub will really grow to appreciate. I've seen people talk about episodes 3 and 4, and I have not heard anything negative of it so far, even from people who really enjoy the Funimation dub. And as Professor C talking about the cast, they are so into this. They really enjoy doing this. Like a Huber, the voice of Jin, and the voice of Shinichi as well. The voice of Shinichi has tweeted about Detective Conan than all of our Shinichis combined.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's been like really nice to see this cast actually really talk about it, interact with each other in their Detective Conan posts. Even the voice of Huber, as most of you guys might have seen, was like asking fan recommendations for openings and closings of Detective Conan to play in his car, and just seeing all of that is just so cool.
I think like I have a good point on that that you reminded me of. With the Funimation dub, a lot of the characters, like, you know, and I've talked to like our Bruce Elliott, like our friends on Facebook and stuff, and I have conversations with him here and there. He would love to come back as Richard, you know, just like you know from a normal standpoint. And like Jerry Jewell, he goes like his top 3 characters he could ever return to. I forgot what the other 2 were because I don't care. But were Jimmy Kudo and stuff like that. So I do think the Funimation, you know, they had a lot of love for it too. And yes, some of that cast here returns as well. And I'm sure more to come, you know, and other things. Like we're trying to get Kevin Connolly to be Harley or just do another Leon Lowe situation for Studio Nano. But I think a lot of it is just the love for it. Like you see these people talking all the time on Twitter. Like I've been talking to Jin back and forth too, like just from Twitter because, you know, he likes to engage with the fans. And then you have people like Bang Zoom, where everyone got their own little JPEG of their character, and they all made one big post, and you know, each individually, and just said, "I'm blah 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 character," which these characters did as well. But that was it. That was it. They all took one bow together, pretty much, and you know, you will never hear from us again besides in the show. And I cannot escape Twitter from Jin. I can't. Like I'm starting to think he's going to come after me. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this cast. And I think if TMS has any brain cells with this, which it looks like they're learning, you stick with Studio Nano and you redub the movies that you already did. You have them do the other movies. Like they were asking people, like, do you think that would be a problem or not? I think Studio Nano is the way to go. But I mean, if the movies are Bang Zoom, they're Bang Zoom. They're still a good cast. But what me and Professor C, when I made this statement, he kind of agreed with me. It's when you put them in, like Bang Zoom by itself, it's a good dub for having claws in it. Like it's good, but in comparison to Studio Nano's dub, it's like it's jarring in comparison. When you compare the two together, kind of like if you try to watch episode 1 and 2 of this dub and compare it to Funimation's dub, like you'll be like, I don't know, where you can be higher in debate.
I mean, if I were to give a little bit of pushback on it, I think it probably at most, because you kind of look the Bang Zoom dubs as like I would say probably more of it as a colder introduction to the characters. So you could you can kind of see how maybe the actors or maybe probably the EDR directors or whoever involved in there might have been, I wouldn't say necessarily experts on the material or what have you, and it's not even like a knock on the actors at all.
Oh, before I forget, because coherently, my brain. Good point on that. TMS Entertainment didn't even know Akai Shuichi's full story and Bourbon's full story when doing the movies that they both appeared in. They didn't know their full story, but they got the gist of it and tried to work the story along with it. They're like, we hope we did it justice, but we think we understand. And I'm like, what do you mean you think? Kind of like no one liking Kirk Thornton in Shadow, and then suddenly he learns the story a decade later, and now everyone's like, he's the best Shadow. It's kind of just like, I don't think they understood, and which shocks me that they didn't understand, because TMS Entertainment was so controlling on the dub. That's why you had things like Pop's Kogoro that everyone made fun of in the premiere that they did for the movie for Cinema Saturday or Sunday, I don't know.
Cinema Saturday, yeah.
And everyone was making fun of it in the chat, and I'm like, yeah. And that was the one thing I made fun of in the podcast prior when we originally heard it. I'm like, we don't speak like that. That's not a common formality out here, but they don't know that.
I think it's probably, like I said, I think that there is a level of just not fully understanding the material, or maybe even probably lack of time. I could also believe that for how much they had available to be able to record with, because it's tough when you're like, hey, here's a character with an established lore, with established personality, with established relationships with characters. How do these characters interact with each other? How would they sound with each other? That's something that takes time to kind of understand for every character. And at a certain point, you can kind of see how I without proper direction, maybe, or like with the right people behind the scenes to kind of guide the actors to be like, here's how you react to this, here's how you would probably say this, here maybe you can look at the original version to see this. You can even, I mean, I think the one thing that I would say about even the Studio Nano dub, and I think this is probably the way I would phrase it, is like the dub sounds like it has been here for years, and that's something that really it feels like the biggest compliment I could ever give to everyone involved, because it seems that between the ADR director, who apparently was very much involved in making sure that the actors know how to portray the character. There's small weird Conan isms that Molly ends up doing. I wish I could. I would have to go back to the episodes to remember. But it's like even just like small little like Conan kind of like the way even Conan laughs, small things like that. That I was just like, wow, that's crazy how they managed to capture even from like the original performance into this new dub. And it's like it feels like they've been voicing these characters for so long already. It's kind of shocking. So there is a multitude of reasons why they have probably either a leg up or something maybe on the previous dubs. But I think this is something that if they were to continue with this, I think you have the right cast.
100%.
Can I speak on another little thing? Now that you brought it up, Mike. Speaking of little things in performances, because I didn't have a chance to rewatch everything today, unfortunately. I kind of rewatched just whatever I could before we got on today. And I ended up rewatching those first two episodes. Something that kind of struck me, I think, the first time I watched this dub, it's around Agasa's first appearance, and you have that little funny little moment where like he's like testing his jetpack, and they're in Shinichi's house in the library, and he runs into those books. I love the way that Christopher Guerrero as Agasa, which by the way he's doing a great job, as is everybody. But I really love the way he captures what I feel like is like the original actor's kind of like ad lib. I don't know if it's in the script, but like that moment where he runs to the books and he's like, oh, what I just run into? Oh, books. Okay. Like it sounds so like natural that like I've always just assumed that's like an ad lib that he did, or maybe something like that. Even I love the way that these actors capture those little like natural little moments of dialogue that all like it just, I don't know. I love it when they capture stuff like that. Like it's something that I'm assuming is ad libbed, but like he performs it in a way that still sounds ad libbed. Like it's that kind of attention to detail that really shows me that this cast, not to say that the other dub casts we've gotten didn't care about the material they're working with, but like it shows me that level of care that I feel like this dub has arguably more than the others we've gotten up to this point. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you know what they say, a keen eye for details.
For sure, yeah.
I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, I would aware.
It's like on the back of a Wheaties box or something.
Got that with your detective badge.
Not the Wheaties. Not the Wheaties.
My
Not the
only
Wheaties
begging,
box.
my only begging I am going to give to Studio Nano. The only thing I'm going to say is yes, I love Dr. Agasa. I love that they brought back the accent because I don't know what the heck Masia's group was doing, and let alone also Bang Zoom. But it is different this time. It's not German. Or at least it doesn't sound German. It sounds more, as Professor C, I think, put it, British. But it still sounds enough to where I can picture old Agasa as well. And I think it just does favors for everyone.
I didn't even hear an accent. But then again, I have trouble picking up on small stuff like that.
It's like what I would describe it as like it's like if Christopher Lloyd went on a trip to England for like a week and he picked up a slight bit of it. Yeah.
That's how I picture it. It's kind of like if Dr. Agasa, like the German Dr. Agasa, went to the UK for a few weeks, picked up on some dialects and went home.
Conan, we got to do something about your kids.
Oh my god.
Well,
see, Mike, as soon as I saw you brought up that he sounds like Doc Brown, like I haven't been able to unhear it. But I think that goes into another reason why I love Guerrero's performance as Agasa is that unlike with the original Funimation performance, you could tell he has an accent, but I feel like it's not as in your face, it's not as obvious. Like it's still subtle enough to where like he doesn't sound like a total caricature. Like he still sounds like a character. He still kind of sounds like a person.
Yeah, he's it was a good move, I think, obviously, and I think that probably was something that they paid a lot of attention to, is getting Agasa right, and you've had a couple of examples. I will say, Michael, who has voiced Dr. Agasa in Bang Zoom, did a great job. And recall if it was I think it was Hanzawa or Tea Time, he did a really good job. So
he did a really good job in Tea Time. He did a great job in Tea Time. Not Tea Time. Hanzawa.
Yeah.
Hanzawa. Yeah, he did a great job there. So
that
we'll
show was a
that.
trip, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure
you were able to get it away with so much.
Hey, I like Hanzawa.
I love it.
My wife, she doesn't like Case Closed. She really doesn't. I don't know. She loves Criminal Hanzawa, and she goes, "If this was Case Closed, man, I'd watch it." And we reference Dr. Agasa all the time, just upping the number of the price that he's willing to pay, and with no explanation, no questions, just like, all right, fine, that's not good enough, more. And we make a joke on that all the time. Criminal Hanzawa, give us more of that. Season 2, they even kind of tease it at the end of it.
Yeah. There's a lot more material left over.
So give it to us.
But
And I don't care if it's by Bang Zoom. What is it, Max Middleman?
Max Middleman. He did an amazing job as Hanzawa.
Call him up, get him in there, because he did great.
Aaron Dwall, I feel like you haven't said your opinions so far on this stuff.
my first opinion is Alexis is amazing as Hybera. And I will keep screaming that to the heavens.
Oh, she sounds just sounds like Brie from the Funimation dub.
It's
she sounds really close to the Japanese too.
She nailed the
Yeah.
speech. I think that's all you needed to know.
yes. Like, and every Jin voice that I've heard for every dub or, have made him sound as sinister as he's supposed to sound. Like he's supposed to sound like a very evil person.
Mhm.
And the Studio Nano dub nailed that completely.
Yeah.
And I love that. And in seeing the Bang Zoom dub of The Darkest Nightmare Saturday, that dub was great too. Not to say it wasn't. But Jin's the voice actor who played Jin still made him sound very sinister, and I like that. But I think everyone honestly is in agreement here that if anyone, if they decide to go with the Studio Nano dub, that's great. I would love to hear what they would do for the movies. And and maybe if they want to do some more of these curated episodes, I'd love to see that too.
I mean, this is the first of them, so big implications.
Oh, one thing like I would like to go off of Dwall's point of Hydra is like it's not only just Hydra being portrayed really well, like but it's also like not just nailing her voice, but the dynamic of the voice of Conan and the voice of Hydra working together so well. Like we see that in episode 129. Just their chemistry together, I believe, or like the way these two interact is like something that we only see like in that we haven't gotten in the English dub till now. Like the way that they both just banter off pretty well, and the way that they just talk to each other is something that is really cool that I enjoyed a lot, and I would really love to see them tackle like Black Iron Submarine, well, like with just these two characters.
Yeah, I do want to pose a question here, and I've been thinking about this the last few days. In terms of the movies and the language, obviously, in the press release by TMS is a little, it kind of leaves open to interpretation about, first time in English. And I guess we won't really know till Countdown to Heaven. I don't know if they're open to using Funimation's dub for any of that. I would assume not at this point, but assuming obviously, movies 19 through 26 are gonna have a dub no matter what, and we've already seen them. I mean, and they've confirmed 26 has a dub. Do we all think at this point they're gonna release every one of the movies in English? And I mean, at this point, if they are, I would imagine Bang Zoom is doing all of them. If they do, but what do you guys think, and what do you kind of bring from that interpretation of what they put out there about Cinema Saturdays? And do you guys all think it'll be dub, or do you think it'll be some sub, mixed into these?
Hey,
Yeah.
that's me, Jimmy Kudo. No, I personally don't think they'll do that. I could see them, but I think they're trying to bury this dub, especially when you're trying to promote this one. And they jumped on it the second it expired. And I think they knew it was expiring too, which is why they had what they had in the tank for Zero the Enforcer. If we are going to get them all in English, I think it would all be Bang Zoom. But I could also see with their wording of, especially in their survey that they sent out that people were talking about, that they got from doing the thing. Would you be okay with two voice casts? And since they're like very experimental with all of this, I do think like you have to understand what I was talking about JoeB the other day off air is you have to understand not Bang Zoom, TMS Entertainment's mind of they're like, well, we don't know if the Tubi, like where that really lies or whatnot, and they claim like even the Netflix one and Crunchyroll and the TMS like Tubi that was all experimental and they wanted to see what worked or what they could do with it. I think they can tell the difference between because I think they trashed the Mossius group thing pretty quickly. I think they washed their hands. You could tell by the end the claws were off. Kogoro was saying "Rad AF," stuff like that. It just got weird. So I don't think Mossius group really is even a question here. And I think when they asked us that question, I really wonder if that means like Studio Nano did movie 5 while Bang Zoom's focused on was probably recording movie 26, so I'll be honest, unless they knew by that point it was all going to be Studio Nano, which I highly doubt. So I could see this movie either being done by Bang Zoom or Studio Nano. I do have a feeling it would be all of them in English. I just because I can't imagine like them doing subtitles, because I feel like some people won't show up or they think like, where's the dubbed option type thing. And that's what I encourage you all to do. If that happens, show up to it, ask where the dub version is, and if you have to leave, because that might show them that you want to dub even more. Like, oh, they did not stay for the sub, but the other stuff did really well.
Well, I mean, as far as that concerned, I mean, if you've checked out any of TMS's releases when they did the Lupin the Third movies on their...
Which we talked about, speaking of which, let me interrupt you, we think those might have been a testing ground for the Conan Cinema...
Well, they were. Well, I mean, they were fan selected. But I mean, I don't know if it was. I think it's more so the fact that they that if they were going to release something on their YouTube channel, it's most likely going to be a dub. So it's why it's kind of more like, I would say 90% likely that all the rest of the movies will be dubbed as well. The Conan movies will be dubbed.
Could you imagine if they didn't mean the series? Where like, do you mind 2 different dubs? Like, could you imagine if they're like, all right, Funimation's movies 1 through 6, Studio Nano 1 through 7 through 17, Bang Zoom
Boy.
18 through.
And then like the most recent movie, a secret third group. I don't like, what the hell?
Masius group.
Masius comes back.
No.
Return of the King.
Anything but that.
The best movie.
Well, let me ask you this, Michael. If you think that, I mean, I would imagine then you would think that Bang Zoom is doing it. Do you think hiring a different studio and having a new cast influences maybe casting for future movies if they're going to use Bang Zoom and use Studio Nano? Do you think that influences casting across the 2 dubs?
If this, we're kind of just assuming a lot as far as like how much is Bang Zoom actually done. I think that's one thing, because I could believe there is a level of probably during the process of getting some of those movies out through Discotech and getting Bang Zoom involved in those, and then eventually moving to Masias to getting some of the Bang Zoom actors back for that. I wonder if during the process they were thinking like, well, we figured let's focus on the current movies as much as we can before we decide how we're going to tackle the old ones. And I think maybe along the way, when they were starting to reconsider how they're going to approach Conan in the West, maybe they thought, well, we already did the work for the ones that we have out. It's already out, and I'm assuming there's at some level, maybe there's some also contract things to say like, well, the Discotech releases of the Bang Zoom dub are probably going to be out for X amount of years before we consider even trying to make a new dub, because I can assume for like, fees and stuff like that to be able to get for the actors to residuals. So if they were to, I think having this one of the old Funimation movies that were released as like your first or third movie they're going to release is probably the testing ground to say like, well, we're going to probably try the new cast now for this one, because at this point, you can't re-release that old dub anymore if you're essentially wiping your hands with the former version of that dub. It would make the most sense of like synergy wise to maybe consider like, oh, we have a new studio, let's work with them, as opposed to probably hiring out Bang Zoom again, because for all you know, availability, rates, so many other things that could be involved in getting that. By the time they made this new initiative, can we get those castbacks? I don't know, and maybe that's why, to some degree, why they went to Studio Nano in the process. There's too many factors for that kind of thing to even consider one way or the other right now. But I think a safe bet would probably say, yeah, I could see them using this new studio for the older movie. Or the older movies, I should say.
Where do you think that cutoff is, though? Like, where do you think that cutoff is between old and new? Like, what if we're just talking about hypothesis, obviously, but if you had to predict like a cutoff?
Oh yes, I don't know. If I were to cutoff, it's whatever's Bang Zoom released.
I have a similar answer. I think old movies stop after like I say up to like 17, which is Bang Zoom has 18 through probably 26 done. I'd probably say there, or you could cut it off at like movie 9 or something like that. Like if I were to consider what the classic era is, unless they count what Funimation did as the classics, and then you say 6. But
I mean, something we need to consider too is when Masias had their dub, you had the 4.
That's what I was going to say.
Actors obviously come back, and Studio Nano that wasn't the case, and so I think that it at least prompts a question of kind of what they're thinking direction, and I think it's at least a great conversation that TMS has started. I don't particularly mind if they go with 2 separate studios necessarily, but I do sometimes wonder about, like, there were people even in the chat when we were all watching that were like, is this the new cast or is this the old cast? and I worry about continuity when you're trying to when you're asking the question, what could we do to make the series more popular? And it's like, but then I wonder, what do you guys at TMS deem as a success and a failure? And I think for us as a fan base, I think that's very hard to measure as well as we kind of go through this. And it's obviously we'll be going through it the rest of the year.
I think it's a good thing though that they're in there like that, because it could show them, like their survey asked, like, is this going to cause a problem? And I think it will. And you're getting huge praise from Studio Nano across the globe, where it's almost just like, stick with this. Clearly, if you have to pick one. But I can also see them doing a dual thing, like what I was going to try to bring up before you brought up the 4 VAs who would return to do the Masius group dub from LA, while the rest of it was done in Miami. I could see them doing a similar thing too, where it's like, okay, Bang Zoom does all the movies, but then they'll take like Molly and stuff like that, like the core main characters that aren't like just random characters, and have them come do their roles. And then I can also see them doing, all right, the movies we have now, all right, let's get Rand in here, let's get Kogoro in here, let's, and redub those lines, but keep everything else the same, where it's just like, just all main characters. If they're a main character, not just a one-off for the movie or background people, they could stay Bang Zoom unless it just sounds too jarring next to the other people's performances, then of course recast. But I think that might be something that is willing to look into, because like you have people like Kevin McConnelly who did Kevin Connolly who did Harley Hartwell, and then he did Leon Lowe for the Bang Zoom stuff, and he came from Funimation, and he fits right on in. And I feel like just certain things that will mix and certain things won't, and maybe that's what they do. Maybe they just do like a little redub parts of the movies that they already did, and then bring in the Studio Nano cast like they were doing for Masius Group, to try to keep, because their goal with that was, with Masius Group, was to keep it to match the movies. So they took, Wendy Lee and stuff like that. And I think that might be a great idea, even, that they could pull off. So like we could be watching this like Bang Zoom compilation here, like even with movie 5, like you could be, oh, it's Molly, and then suddenly hear somebody from Bang Zoom is something to possibly look at too as an option.
I mean, that'd be interesting. I don't know how that would work fully, but who knows? I think it's. I mean, it's still a little early to kind of really speculate. I would like. I wonder if just probably they figured like, well, we're in Texas. We'll just keep the Texas actors and go from there. I don't know. That's my guess. But who knows? Aaron, I don't know if you got to speak much. I do apologize if.
Well, I've never really been that talkative on these two, because my opinions are mostly just based on what little bit I know from like voice acting itself, but I don't know much about the whole process of like how it affects everything else and everything. I just know what sounds good to me.
But how'd you feel about the dub in general? I don't think you've really said.
Oh, it's amazing. I was like, really scared at first when I heard we were getting this, because I'm just sitting there like, oh God, are we gonna get Masius Group again? And I'm going to feel nothing but pain listening to this? Or am I actually going to enjoy this? And I really didn't know what to think walking into it, but I was so pleasantly surprised, even with the first 2 episodes, because, being part of a group that was like looking at it and paying more attention and trying to get stuff that was close to the original Japanese, I kind of picked up a very like good ear for, people that sound similar to the characters and can match their energy and things. And I was getting all of that from this particular dub. And I think everyone does a very good job. Like, and yes, I'll admit sometimes nostalgia does kind of smack me sometimes when a character speaks and I don't, hear Jerry Jewell or Griffin Burns at any point in time or anything like that, just because I grew used to certain voices at certain times. But I can honestly say this dub, to me at least, seems like the best out of the ones I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I very much look forward to if they actually do more with this. And I really hope they do.
Could you imagine if that dub opened up with the same ADR noises as the Masius Group one did? So unprofessional.
Fish bowl Takagi. That's all I need to say.
I think you're giving everybody nightmares in here.
I think the sad part was even the last episode preview, they called each other the complete opposite names in the very last episode preview, and it's like,
For God's sake,
What?
Conan said it
I
was
missed that.
Kazuha disguised as Kid. There were so many problems.
Like I said, I think they knew it was done. Because it was very similar with like Ayumi. She sounded like she was in a closet, and then she finally came out of the closet, and she sounded like okay again. And
And then they
this
put her in a
woman-
bathroom stall.
Oh no! Then this woman comes along, and she was like a rando for the episode, and she sounded like she was in a bathroom, and they put a filter over Ayumi to make her sound like she was in the same space as her, and it just sounded awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? Like, the point is, Masia's group. Like, I'm not gonna knock Miami voice actors because most of it is on the ADR team, and like even some music was missing or was misplaced or would go off at the wrong time, or like you could just tell like a lot was missing. I rewatched an episode or two the other day where Sierra was talking to Conan. I won't spoil what about because not to get into that, but like I was watching them like, okay, yeah, I don't like how Sierra sounds like a boy. I get it's a joke that she looks like a boy, but like she doesn't need to sound like a complete boy. She doesn't sound like that in Bang Zoom, and she doesn't sound like that in the original either. And they just took some very weird takes there too. But I just think it was just too jarring. And then I listened for the music this time, which I didn't do the first time because I was too busy with the ADR noises and the people in the bathrooms and stuff. And I listened for the music, and I'm like, the hell, this is off too. I'm like, how do you achieve that? And especially when it's all provided to you, I don't understand.
Yeah,
yeah.
like it was bad. The only positive thing I took out of that particular dub
Red AF.
was getting to hear no. No, the only positive thing I personally took at it, and it was more just a thing of because again, I enjoy listening to voice acting, and I'm the type of person where particular line deliveries will just set me off laughing.
Mm.
I absolutely loved hearing Griffin Burns absolutely losing his mind with the fairy lips case. That was funny to me. I loved hearing that. And it was the only positive I could take out of the entire experience because I will have to forever live with the echoing voice of, I'm Rad AF! Like, no, I don't want to ever hear that again.
And I need to find a way to capture that for myself, just in case I ever need it. I'll
Oh,
put it-
I have copies.
Oh, cool! I can use it for like
of
a
Red
Twitch.
AF.
I'll use it
Yeah.
for a Twitch alert.
No, why do you have that?
You got one new follower. That's Red AF.
I'm almost glad I never heard this dub, and I never want to.
But I mean, I feel like without we don't have to drag that dub as much as we need to anymore. But I think I think we're kind of now.
I don't think
with-
it's been dragged enough personally.
Oh yeah,
but
really?
It needs to be 6 feet under, and then another 6 feet under.
like I'm not gonna lie, I heard a few episodes and I was ready to like make the walk. I was ready to walk across like Florida to go there and like smack some sense into people. Like, because I'm not about to burden my family. It's like, hey, drive me like 6 to 8 hours over there. Like, no, I'm a
No.
walk.
No, trust me, I've been from Florida, so like the drive is a hassle.
Yeah, no, it's a pain, and it's like, no, I'm gonna walk up there. I'm gonna walk in their front door. I'm gonna smack all of them upside the back of the head and say, "Let me show you how to do this." I've never worked like ADR or editing or any of that, and I feel like I'd do a better job.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Sure.
I feel like just a standard free software, free trial software with like on a firewall, so it doesn't count down the days, would do a better job. And I'm not offending the voice actors. Like,
No, because it wasn't their fault usually.
no,
Like some of them didn't sound bad. It was
a
just
lot of it was during
either
COVID,
the
too.
quality of their recording equipment or
Yeah,
the
COVID
direction
and-
itself.
I think that it's very much one of those like the first pass is what you got, and then okay.
I mean, like I said, there were some voice actors where I was like, I don't know how I feel about you as this character, but like, other than that, you know, you can have that in almost any dub. But it's just like, and they were passionate too, because I know like they Professor C interviewed Gia Burns, and she was really nice, and I think a lot of them, you know, did a decent job here and there, but like a lot of it just came down to who was writing the scripts after TMS washed their hands to get Rad AF on the board. I don't know who you are, but you
May
I got
both sides
words.
of your pillow be uncomfortably warm.
It was a limited cast too. I think
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the thing that hurt. There wasn't that many cast members.
So was the Funimation dub. I mean, I don't think that's an excuse. But it doesn't help when everything else makes it jarring and you're a limited cast. I think together that can make a mess.
Yeah, but it learns it did give some good lessons, I think, in terms of moving forward. And I think there were some good voices. I think Gia did a great job with the voices she had in that dub, and there were some good ones. Yeah,
I like to see her come back and do something for Studio 9 now. So like I just want to make that clear. We're not like trashing Masia's group, but I think it was a good thing that they knew to pull out of there. And I just think it's the studio that's the problem. And there was probably a reason why they went with them. There's probably a reason why they were cheap. And like I said to JoeB the other day, is you can tell a success and not a success. And I think TMS Entertainment knew that. And I think that's why something went to Netflix and something that went to Tubi that people don't know who. A lot of people don't know who Tubi is, and Tubi's still trying to market themselves. They're a free service. They just recently tried to say that they want to do like an ad tier plan where you pay. This is like a thing that nobody really knows about Tubi. That's why a lot of people didn't even know the Masias group was a thing. That's why like, a new dub for Conan. I'm like, yeah, but there was a new one not long ago either. You didn't see that one either, and a lot of these people haven't. And I think that's how you could tell a success from a failure. I think when they saw that, washed their hands, said, we want to make some money back on that, like Funimation did when they gave up. They just kept the license to make the money back. And didn't do anything else new. I think they did the same thing. We're like, hey, we'll put it on Tubi, try to make some money back. And this stuff's good. We like this. We're putting it on Netflix so everyone can see it. And I think that's really what happened.
Yeah, no, because I didn't even know the Masias one existed until y'all brought it up. And it was like, okay.
So
why would Christy with this?
I didn't even know that the Tubi dub was the Masias
Yes.
dub.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's fair.
I maybe saw one episode of it, and then I was like, okay, I'll watch it again later. Never found the time to watch it. Well, it wasn't even that I didn't want to. It's like I wanted to, but I never found the time to because of other life stuff.
Count yourself
But now,
blessed.
hearing all the horror stories, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I didn't go back and watch it.
I'd rather have I want to make sure that's preserved somewhere. I don't care. I feel like that's still worth just to have somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then,
I know I at least have access to it from a few completely legal anime sites that I use.
Completely legal.
Don't want to know about that. Don't want to know about that.
Yeah, I've got them downloaded.
Okay, there's at least someone here who has them. Why would you spin the space?
He's completely downloaded.
I would say way to just like openly admit that.
Yep. Come on with it.
He's like, it's
not like
this is completely
back.
It's like completely legal anime sites, and then all of a sudden, I downloaded it. It's cool. It's no.
Like I'll say I'll have clips here and there, or I'll know that I might have something, but I would never. That's funny. But yeah. Oh well, yeah. They don't care about it. They're gonna be okay.
I kind of see it more as just like they probably misread where their audience is, and I think this is a course correction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, the worst that they would do to Professor C, to be honest, if we're all being honest here, they'll probably say, "Oh, he's suffering enough. He has the Masias group dub."
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's like I don't think they want that one back.
yeah. One good thing I would say about the Masias group dub is at least it has like 20 people. The ETV Balbarth English dub only had like a cast of 10. So the Masias was like a bit of an improvement to that.
For 300
I'm
episodes,
not sure, like,
too.
oh yeah, seriously,
I know.
300 all the way up to like
Wow, I didn't
500
know that.
episodes. They went really far.
Yeah, they did.
He'll wake up to an email in his SaveCaseClosed email, and it'll be like, "Hey, take this one too," and it'll be the Funimation dub.
I don't know. I got a message like 3 months ago from somebody that sounded like an admin. They're like, "We're going to be shutting your account down in 30 days." I'm like, all right, cool. Had a good run. See you later. But it never happened. So
And if they try to come for me, I'm like, look, you can give me the Funimation dub if you want to. I got the DVDs.
Good old
Yeah.
Guardian
Oh, yeah.
collection.
I got the DVDs when you put it in a green case.
Oh, the save cases, yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
got all
Yeah.
of all the seasons, so you can give them to me if you want. I'll just put them right next to the ones I bought.
Yeah.
Save
Yeah.
case closed
I
edition.
want to hunt some of those down because
I do
know my
too.
library has them, and I had one at one point, but because
Yeah.
it was a library copy that they sold, it was like just really bad condition and skipped a lot, so I just got rid of it. I need to hunt down some proper ones at some point.
Probably a good time
They're
as
on
any. It's
eBay
given that,
somewhere.
because
I need to find the Viridian ones.
chances are those are going to get priced up as like if more stuff comes out of it.
Yeah, no, the only Funimation Conan stuff I have at this point is Time Bomb Skyscraper and 14th Target. Those are the
dual
only
pack?
ones I actually own, and I found them marked down at like $5 and $15, and it's like
Nice.
I
just
don't
as
have the
sad.
14th Target. I do have the Time Bomb Skyscrapers though. I don't have the other 5 movies.
If anything, I want to get Phantom of Baker Street just so I can at least switch it over into JP Audio and enjoy it that way. Because
Why? That movie tries to auto-translate itself all the time. You're reading Japanese, but you're reading it as English. That's like the game world, like how it auto-translate
Yeah.
everything.
they're
for them.
speaking English. I don't understand.
I hope we get physical releases of these new movies though.
Usually when things happen on Netflix, they
Think so.
usually do. I think we will.
Yeah, I don't think so. Sorry.
It
Yeah.
might be some time.
Really?
If that were to happen.
No, I don't.
Who
That's
knows?
crazy.
Yeah, I don't.
To me, I think we would have gotten a physical release if TMS had like promoted all of the digital stuff and like other stuff after each movie's premiere.
I'm telling you, it's about a year now to get the physicals from the time of release. I don't think maybe not within that year, but I do think once they stop doing the batches, right? Because I do think we have said in previous podcasts and stuff like that, I feel like once they get to the modern arc, which is like the 600s, or you could even say the 500s, whatever, because everything now that's in the show all originates from that London case in the 600s. But like, they can do like Harley batches, these batches, whatever, or Hedgie. And once they get to where now you can do like episodes 1 through 20, or, like you have like the orders now, where it's just not jumping around. I could see box sets at that point. Because then everything is in order at that point, and then from there the episode should drop in order even after that. It's just kind of getting everything.
I don't think you'll ever see it again.
And this is
I
why
don't think you'll ever see it.
Sure, but this is why I say it, because I feel like what they're doing is, and I think it's smart. I didn't like it at first because this is what Funimation did, and that's what killed it. They licensed out the first 52 episodes, heavily censored them, and then they released random episodes on box sets. Adult Swim kind of quit, and one day you'd be watching episode 1, season 1, and then you'd be watching episode 52. Like, you weren't, there was no cohesion, no story. Even if you bought the box episodes, they weren't like, until they eventually started releasing them in the Save and the Viridian versions, where they were ordered and numbered. And at first, when they said that they were doing select episodes, and then we saw that they skipped major episodes, I think it was smart, actually, because I do think over time, it will all even itself out, and there will be even episodes to watch them correctly in order. And then eventually start releasing in order once they get high enough. But I do think it's smart, because now that I'm sitting down thinking about it, you watch episode 1, all right, I understand the character, and maybe you might have this Funimation bias that might turn you off, so that's not good. And whether you liked it or not with Funimation. And then you go from episode 1, you watch episode 2, and you might feel iffy depending on what side of the board you were on. And then you watch like episode 3 or 4 or something, and now you're watching this case where they're going through panty shops looking for gold and stuff, and you're just like, what the hell? And maybe some people might fall off. But now I never noticed how well episode 1 and 2 and episode 128 and 129 really blend together. And they, like, if you just told me that there were no episodes in between that, I believe you. At least for the bash that we got, until they start filling in other gaps. And I think it was very smart, because I think it keeps tension high. And it gets you more absorbed in the series. I didn't like it at first. It took me very long to feel this way.
And I don't think it's bad to have this particular batch, but the not realizing there would have been any episodes in between, I don't think anyone would have that, because of the fact that you make that jump and all of a sudden Conan has all these gadgets and things that aren't explained at all. It's like, How does he have the ball belt? Where'd the shoes come from? How does that voice bow tie work?
Well, the belt will be explained in the next Jin and Vodka arc type thing, because that's when he gets it. But the rest of them, I did agree with that. Where I'm like, it's just weird that we don't get explained the watch and the other stuff. And one of them in the Funimation dub, it was given off in a non-canon case, TV original, I believe. I might be wrong on that. I really don't remember. But Hybera explains them all. She goes, Agasa's your lifeline. Those super sneakers, those listing his gadgets. So I mean, in a way, yes. But there were certain things where I'm just like, how are we supposed to know this? But you do still kind of explain it. Kind of like with Dr. Araide and Jody, they say that they were their school teacher. That wasn't there, but because since this was introduced to us first, they had to add that line in so we know who they were, because we didn't know. We didn't watch any other episodes besides these.
I mean, to jump in a bit here, I feel like, they do give some level of diegetic explanations for everything that you end up seeing in these batches. And even so, I think even if you were to look at it from like the grander perspective of like why these batches, why these episodes, I think it's more probably a introduction for just a somewhat general audience to be like, okay, what's the series what's the
and
core?
That's why they wouldn't know anything's missing.
Yeah, what's the core plot about? It's like, Conan, there's the black organization. They made up a kid. He's trying to find out stuff. Here are some characters that are relevant to this organization, and we kind of go from there. And I think that's why thematically, even the movies are related to the black organization, despite it being very, very ahead. But I think to go back to the question about like if there is a possibility of even this kid coming out physically, I think. Now, not to say that it's not possible. I think there is possibilities. I think there's enough to show me that I felt like I could see them wanting to have it be available for a physical release. Will we get there? It depends on how it succeeds. I think that's the first thing. I think first is making sure it succeeds now in the batches they have. Then they can consider, okay, can we do the start from the beginning, go from there? Okay, then from there, how well is it doing in streaming? Can we do a physical? Even as small things as if you watch the release, the YouTube premiere for the 2 episodes, they do have the Conan's hint dubbed, which that part is not even in the stream releases. It's not on the Netflix version. It's not on the Crunchyroll version. But it wasn't on that YouTube video, because it's like part episode 1, episode 2. So I was like, oh, here's a preview for episode 2, and that was such a weird thing to see. As like, oh, it seems that they actually want to have this material available if they were to eventually get down the line to maybe release this somewhere physical, or even. I mean, it probably wouldn't make sense to have those Conan hints because the next episode is like a 30 episode jump in the next episode for the batches. But so I guess it wouldn't make sense to put it there. But it makes sense to have those.
Also, if you noticed on, I think it's Netflix, if you watch the credits and stuff go through, they have those little Japanese versions the Japanese versions that weren't in the Funimation release. Where at the end, all the characters say something funny at the end to each other, but like in the old version, it's just Conan saying something. Those were in there.
Oh yeah, those are the sponsor tags. I think that's what they have.
Masius, I think, did that too.
Where you'd be like, catch us next week for blah 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they'll make fun of each other or something.
Yeah, they had those too.
Well, the only reason I make the point that I make, and I don't mean it in a bad way, I do think they'll continue to release things digitally. I think eventually these episodes will become available digitally, but I have 3 points of evidence that tell me they're not interested in physical releases, and that's Scarlet Bullet, that's Bride of Halloween, and that's Black Iron Submarine. There's no Blu-ray available for those.
Well, if they're working to Studio Nano, why continue? Because I said to myself, when I was talking to JoeB again yesterday off the air, I said, you want to know what's one fun fact they can do? Yes, they called this one Detective Conan when they did the movie cinema thing, but that can easily be changed later to Case Closed or anything in the title or anything like that. But those were licensed and shown off as Case Closed movies. You can just say, okay, well, these are Detective Conan, just like the Funimation dub and the Masius group. Those were Case Closed. This is Detective Conan.
Right, but there's a financial aspect to that I don't think they're willing to commit to, and I think they're leaning into digital. And I think, and I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way.
No.
But I think that's just from the evidence of seeing what they've done with Scarlet Bullet, Bride of Halloween, and now Black Iron. It just kind of gives evidence that they're leaning away, and the fact that they're not working with Discotheque anymore. We know that basically that's not really going anywhere. I think they're really diverting. What I am kind of curious to see is on the digital side, if you go to Amazon, are they going to change that Case Closed branding over to the new Detective Conan branding for what's already out, and then hopefully what they plan to release with the rest of the films? I'm curious to see what they do with that.
Same thing with Criminal Hanzawa and Zero's Tea Time on Netflix. They're labeled as Case Closed.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I forget if the English speaking Asia markets have the Detective Conan logos for that. I want to say they do.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so yeah, they have those available somewhere, but I'm assuming probably because they have the new version of Detective Conan with the little spacing and stuff, so maybe they probably have to redo those if they were to re-release them. I think that will probably be probably the telltale sign of like how they want to approach the already dubbed movies. If it's just like we already have them out, it's already there. Technically, they all have Detective Conan in it. Everyone calls them by their correct names. There you go. Here it is until we decide to come back to it. Because honestly, if I were them, I would have probably just start from the beginning, start with like movie one, and then go from there. And when you get caught up to the Bang Zoom versions, they can either decide whether or not they want to continue using Studio Nano for that. But I don't know. That's above my pay grade, obviously.
But I think that's another reason why with the experimentation that's why you stop your thing with Discotheque. Why do licenses for movies that you're going to change possibly, or like you're not sure with, or a studio now they're going to take over? I think a lot of that is the reason why they stopped with that too. It's just why release physical media if stuff we're going to destroy soon anyway. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to possibly look at it, because like I said, I don't think you're going to see box sets for this until either they're fully caught up or until they start releasing episodes in proper batches where they're like, oh, these are the next 10 episodes in order type scenario. And that's a long time for now to sit there and license out the Discotheque for something you're not going to use.
Yeah, I don't think I would concern myself necessarily on.
I'm not even concerned with physical because, to be honest, the only thing, and I think TMS Entertainment knows this, is if you want to watch the movie, you're going to watch it any way you can. You'll just do it. Even if you are a physical collector, movies have something special where it's like, if someone wants to see it, they're going to see it however they can and bite the bullet. Now with games, they're different. You might be like, well, I'm a physical collector and I can release it physically. I don't need it and I can live without it because I really don't know your franchise enough. I was just interested, but it's like, whatever. But when you're interested in a big franchise, you sometimes are willing to break and mold to what you need to. And I think the only thing they're really doing by taking away physical collections are, yes, the very few minute people who collect physical media, but I think it's all, and I am a physical person, I would prefer it, but I think the only people they're really going to lose when it's a movie type scenario or TV show is the double dippers who are going to buy it digitally so they can have easy access, and the people who want to collect it because they are physical collectors.
Yes, the sickos, like me.
Yeah, I double dip every Sonic game almost on every platform.
I think I own everything Conan DVD wise, the Case Closed stuff, everything.
I own all the English dubs.
It's so silly. I don't know why I do this to myself.
Except for that Hong Kong thing, I know nothing about.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
It's like my thing of preferring physical manga over digital manga.
Oh, I have that too. Don't worry.
But my poor Conan collection will never be finished. I can't find a volume 40.
It's the spines. It's the spines that curse me. It's like, oh my god, there's always different versions. There's the Shonen Sunday one, then there's the Viz one, then there's the
I stopped
action
caring
one.
About that. It's just what can I find?
Yeah, same.
So I think this is probably a good point to kind of just give up our wrapping thoughts here. I think we pretty much covered everything worth covering.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would like everyone to go around is maybe say one of the characters that you really enjoyed as well.
Okay, I would probably easily say Vi because she sounds exactly the same. I really loved Vodka. I think Vodka was probably one of my favorites because it sounded exact and it sounded more like clear audio because it just it's
No,
newer.
that
Um,
was one of the most jarring voices to me because I know other roles David Matranga's done, and they sound nothing like
oh, I know.
Vodka.
Oh, I know.
So it's like,
And
what the heck happened here?
I would say those two are really good. I really love Jin. And I hate that I got teased with Akai at the end. Because I'm like, I really want to know if I like this or not. Because the one thing I've learned, Akai and Bourbon have never sounded bad. Ever. In any of the dubs that have been put out. And the one thing I will admit is I will miss Keith Silverstein as Akai Shuichi if all this gets redubbed and done and over, because he is probably my favorite English Akai, or just my favorite Akai in general. I don't know. He's great. He's also Vector the Crocodile, if that means anything to anybody. But I would say Akai is my favorite, but I feel like that's really jipping because we really heard him speak like 2 to 3 words, so it's hard to say. So I'd probably say between Jin, Vodka, and just Vi, because she sounded just like herself. But that's me. I think those are the real standout ones here. Oh, and Vermouth. I mean, because Rachel, like.
I mean, I feel one voice that really stood out was Akemi. She did a really good job in like 128, and as well,
Yeah.
Hydra and Jin. But the final scene of Akemi, the way that they executed it was really good, because I've only like listened to the I believe the fan dub version and the ETV English version. So hearing this, it was really good listening to her performance and like the final scene of Akemi.
Oh man, I mean, in case it isn't clear, like I think there's no shortage of really good performances in this dub, and it is genuinely really hard to pick one. I'll get an easy answer out of the way that I'm sure someone else was going to bring up. I don't know if this is going to be a hot take for a lot of people, depending on what your preferences are. I genuinely think that Molly Zhang as Conan is like the closest we've ever gotten to a perfect Conan English dub performance.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, I can agree on that.
Like Molly has even said herself that like this role really put her through the ringer as far as like testing her like sort of vocal and emotional range, and like I could see that with the character like Conan, because you kind of have to get the kid side of him down, and you have to get his like Shidichi side down, where like he doesn't have that kid facade, and he's really able to like be himself.
You have to be able to voice both the kid and the great detective.
Or when he naturally fades into being a kid, like when he's like it's like nervous and he laughs and stuff, like he goes like full kid mode, but it's not like the on purpose version. Like there is something that like she hits that very well. Yeah, you got to get the arere and the okashidos down, and the choke toilets and all that stuff. So obviously she's great, and like I don't really think we can ask for a better performance. Like to me, she's the closest we've gotten to like a Minami Takayama like performance. Like it's very close to that.
Yeah.
I feel like another character I would as far as characters that like we've heard, but I want to like hear more of. I kind of want to hear more of Kogoro. Like I feel like we get enough of him in this dub. It's not like he doesn't have anything to say, but like I kind of want more of him, because I really want to see what this actor's vocal range is like as far as like the many sides of Kogoro too.
Yeah, because there are a lot of like different vocal ranges that Kogoro has.
For sure, yeah.
I want to see that high school reunion case.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I still have Richard's voice lines from that. Like I have a couple like where I lost a lot of them. I lost a lot of that dub. We tried to dub that. Like I have voice lines of him like talking in the car, like when he goes like, "I'm gonna go in there and give him my piece of my mind." He goes, "No, that wouldn't be very mature." I still have voice lines because like he did a couple of voice lines for that. When we were trying to do the dub. There's other stuff like that I think are really cool. And if I find any of those again, I'll send them to you guys because they're fun to watch.
Sorry, one more I really want to highlight that I don't think any of us have brought up yet. I really love Jodie's performance.
Oh my God.
In those last two episodes. I genuinely thought she was perfect. Like I was like, no, that's Jodie. Like, that's just
I know.
her.
You had Bang Zoom Jodie, who sounds like a normal American, and then you have like this one, like she's ripped directly out of the Japanese version,
Absolutely.
where she
Yeah.
has those accents and struggles to talk.
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
way.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just gonna say. Watching just the reunion with the Black Org episodes, I really thought, obviously the work that Molly did, and then even hearing the new Shinichi voice, obviously in some of those really high pressure moments or whatever, where he's trying to call the inspector and like it was really high stakes. And then just hearing obviously how, Nick and Alexis played off of each other in some of those really tense scenes. I think Nick is really the perfect Jin, coming in. I think he really has a good blend of new and old that we've seen. In a couple of dubs now. He's a really good mix. Obviously, and I think Molly, I absolutely agree with you, Colton. I think Molly might be the best English Conan we've ever had. I mean, she is just unbelievable. And even when she, went on to X and was talking about, it was the honor of her career to do this, she really put a lot into that. And I think we have to really appreciate that she really put a lot into her performance, and it really showed. She was amazing. I would say. Between those three, those are great for me. Obviously, it was great to hear. I think Colleen is the perfect Vermouth, and then Mark coming back as Megare, McGuire, whatever you want to call him, is a real treat. And I think everybody did great. But I think it, with a 9-episode sample size, those are the ones that really stood out to me and some really good moments.
Again, I can't praise Alexis enough for playing Ibra like she did. And I've listened to a lot of other anime with Alexis's voice, but it was the first time I'd actually heard her sound so sinister at times. Like the scene in the alleyway where she reveals herself to Conan is like I told Professor C this. And I think I told the others in our group chat about this. I said, when I heard it the first time, when I saw the sub, I got chills. When I heard it another time, I think it was a fan dub, I got chills. When I heard it this time, I got chills again. And it just keeps happening because it was so good. And it was exactly how I wanted it to be. And it sounded exactly like I figured it should. And I can't say enough good things about it. I agree with Professor C that Megare's voice actor coming back is great. I can tell he's older, but I don't. But I think I think strangely enough, the fact that he's older now works.
Yeah.
For this dub.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it makes him sound grizzled and like he's been through a lot. Obviously, if more experienced, if you know his backstory, he legit has been through a lot. So it makes sense for him to sound the way he does. So it works in that way. And just everybody else doing. It took me a while to get into Kogoro's new voice because again, I can't
get into it. I can't. I don't hate it, but it's different.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like it's gonna be some people will like it and some people won't like it because they're used to his original voice and maybe the Bang Zoom voice too. But he did a great job, and Studio Nano did a great job with him. And that was a great one. But I think in terms of like if you're asking me for a favorite, I think Hybers was amazing. Just great.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying about Kogoro. That's kind of why I want to hear more from him. Because because I don't hate the voice personally. But I think that's why I want to hear more of him. That's why I want to hear him in like a more Kogoro centric story or episode, because I really want to see what he's like when he's able to kind of I don't know what you would call it, stretch his wings a bit with the character. Like, I want to see him kind of have more room with the character other than what we've gotten so far. Because I think the more time we spend with him, I think the better he'll get.
I'll put it this way. I love our Bruce Elliott. Like I said, we're friends on Facebook and everything.
Same. Yeah.
So I'm not trying to shame him. But even at the beginning of his role as Kokoro, it wasn't bad. But it is very different than what you hear for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And he's only had what, 2.25 episodes so far. So I am sure we will see him grow and it won't be that much of a problem. And as far as Inspector, yeah, he's getting older, but I also feel like deep down a lot of its voice direction don't sound exactly the same. It was probably like a rule. And I'm sure, to be honest, I am sure the longer this show goes on, I guarantee you they will be indistinguishable as we go on further, like where it'll just sound like the Funimation version. Because I do think that things will let loose eventually. And then they start trusting you as the voice of the character of, how this should sound. And they start taking, in the booth and stuff, they start taking advice from you. And that's usually also how you get the ab-libbing in there too. Sometimes it can come out early, but too, just from like, hey, this fits better. But a lot of times they'd be like, hey, it'd be funny if they did this, or it'd be good if we did this, or it just feels more natural to the character, my voice, if I do it this way. And you get a lot of that as time goes on too. So I think down the line we'll be happier with it. What's not to be happy about? It's already great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Genta, I don't know why. Does everyone just nail that kid for some reason? Like, he's like perfectly pitched every time I hear a dub version of him. I don't know why.
It's funny. I was worried about Genta's voice to beginning with, because when I saw it was Bryson Bogus, I was like, wait a minute. I've only ever heard you play like Bell in Danmachi or Hinata in Haikyuu. So I'm like, this is a different tone. Are you gonna be okay? But honestly, he did pretty good.
It's one of those like, okay, can I do slightly Cartman-y or too much?
Yeah, it does kind of have that feel, doesn't it?
I mean, I feel like everyone kind of just looks like, here's a little big tubby kid. You kind of know the voice. I mean, that more highlighting there, but I mean, I feel like it's cliche to say like, oh yeah, Molly's Conan is. I think I know that JoeB said it. You have to nail Conan. If you nail Conan, I think you pretty much can. You can kind of ride the wave for the most of the show, and I think she nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, Conan has the faces of like 100 faces. Like, even that one opening shows all the different faces he makes, and he has a lot of expressions to uphold. And I think I have faith in her for that. And I think this is really what it is. She's the lead, right? She's the main lead. Yes, there are like 3 or 4 leads or 5 leads, however you want to break it down. But she's the main lead. And to be honest, I would put my heart and soul into that, because not only are you the lead, but you are the lead of this 30-year-long running show that, like, if someone came up to you and said, we're restarting, I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan or anything like that, but like, you're going to be Goku, and like, you're going to put your heart and soul into that, because that's an everybody anime in the sense of, you're in that, your resume's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in this long running Shonen Jump anime.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're hired. Sure. We'll find something for you.
And I think I should also mention Mauricio's Shinichi, which is something that is probably not said as much because he's not in it a lot, unfortunately, aside from like the opening title sequences. But I think there is something that you kind of he nails in that beginning parts of like, you get the personality of Shinichi without fully going into like
who he is
just yet. And I think that's like the essence of the character that he kind of nails already, which is kind of crazy within the first episode. And talk about like a dude who is championing this series as well. I mean, like, honestly, it's a generational bag. You got to make sure this thing succeeds. I mean, it's like one of the more longer running franchises in anime, current anime now. So, I mean, I would too. I can't blame him.
And I think the one thing with Molly is like, yeah, you could put your heart and soul into it because you know what it means and you know what it could mean for you as well. But it's one thing to know that and put your heart and soul into it, but it's another thing to actually have the toolkit to back it up. And that's something that she has.
They all have it. I think everyone
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
does. I feel
I
like
don't
even
think anyone here is untalented by any means.
Yeah.
Which
No,
I
no, no,
could,
yeah.
which I can go to the other dubs, you know, excluding Funimation. But I mean, I can go to the other dubs and nitpick things left and right because of
nitpick anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, where on this one, I don't really feel much to nitpick. And if I do have a nitpick, it might be because you skipped episodes or
you don't have enough time with the characters or something.
Or
like that.
yeah, or something like that, where it's just like my nitpicks are non-existent. But I can watch something else from Bing Zoom, but yeah, I guess I want more, and I can nitpick these things. But like with this, I'm like, good, more. Where's more? You know, and I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, more please.
More
please.
please.
I go from more English Detective Conan. I'd like to see more of that to more. I'm not done. More. Like you know, you're actively in their face for it. While the other, you're like, I'd like to see more because I like it in English. But the other one, it's literally like, I'm eating. Give me more food, please. Yeah. So, all right. Well, does anybody else have any last closing thoughts they want to say?
Please watch this dub. Yeah, stream it as much as you can.
Stream it for the love of God.
And scream Studio Nano as loud as you can on Twitter and during those movie premieres if it's not Studio Nano. And if it is Studio Nano.
Be nice.
Yes,
be nice. Be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, you are. You're just like, where's Studio Nano? Is this different? Like, you make it look like that's what I was doing. You make it look. You make it look like you're having a problem with it. Like, not that this is bad or anything, but you're just like, this sounds different. Where's this? Like, it just shows the incohesion.
Engagement is good. Just be wary about how you engage with it. I think that's something. That
unless it's Masia's group somehow doing movie 26, then
I don't know how that happened, but that would be.
Let him know.
Don't let that happen.
You don't even have to bring them up anymore at this point. I think we're pretty much like set with whatever. Hey, enjoy. Yeah. I would say enjoy those movies. Enjoy, like, be on. If they are doing any kind of premieres, be there. Say hi. Make sure hit like. Do all the things. Yeah. Ring the bell. All those whatever call to actions.
And there are on these live streams now. It's not just like there's a live chat and then a physical chat. There's two chats that go on at the same time. One's like a permanent chat and the other one's a live chat. Yes, you can view the live chat afterwards, but there's now like this like XP like experience thing where they can show like who the top chat is, and it's fun just to play that and catch yourself up, because the higher you go, the more comments you left, the better things look, but in the engaging. And I was watching people like wonder what Kurosawa's fate were going to be, and they're like, oh, please don't let her die, or don't let this or don't let that. And you can see these people. Well, I didn't say she died. I didn't say that. You don't know. But
who knows?
Yeah, but like where you see them, like they're really like grabbing it, and these are people who don't know what Conan is, and it was really fun to watch that, almost as like an experiment, just to watch these people engage with the plot, like saying, "I hope this doesn't happen," or "I hope this happens," and it was really interesting to really see that. So go watch for yourself, see what happens. Good stuff.
Yeah,
I
think so.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been the OTP One Truth Prevails podcast.
And I guess also One Podcast Prevails as well.
Yeah.
And we'll all catch you all next time. Probably separately, but maybe one day we'll all come forth again when something big happens, like if Studio Nano starts doing the movies or something else big that's like a big twist.
We'll see. We'll have to figure that out for the future.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
And we'll see you all in the next one.
Remember, only one podcast prevails. That's how I close my show all the time.